global energy markets is feeling the heat. And on the edge tonight as oil prices surge past $100 mark is triggering escalation. Is triggered by the escalating tensions in the Middle East and fresh attacks targeting energy infrastructure and shipping routes across the Persian Gulf. Because of the effect of this is impacting on oil price locally in Nigeria. And we're seeing NNPC announce a hike in oil price. The same thing with Nigeria's biggest oil refiner, Dangote refinery, has moved the price around about 3 or 4 times in the last 1 week. Let's get a sense of what this means and what government needs to be doing. I'm being joined by a senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights activist, Mr. Falana, who is live for us here in Lagos. Thanks so much, Mr. Falana. Mr. Falana, let's go straight to the point. How impactful do you think this is? We cannot determine when this war will end. It doesn't look like America could predict how far Iran could go, but the mines are there in the Straits of Hormuz, and it's affecting and impacting the ship that could take cargoes there. Now, it's affecting us locally. What impact on how big could the impact we should be preparing for?
Well, as far as the world is concerned, we're in a very serious crisis. We have a situation where a man who does not respect the constitution of his country and who has contempt for international law is in the White House in America. And I'm talking of Mr. Donald Trump. He abuses judges and threatens them when they rule against him. He does not obtain congressional approval to declare war on countries. And so once you have a situation of that nature, the world is in a crisis. Here is a man who can announce to the whole world, I've invaded Venezuela. I have captured the president and his country. And that is his word, capture. Now, when you capture the head of state of another country, without regard to international law and principles, the man became bold and was so boastful about it. Oh, I have defeated Venezuela. I'm now moving to Iran. And so he went to Iran with a lot of confused state of mind. He didn't know what he wanted. He really did not know what should happen in Iran. He wanted to stop Iran, according to him, from developing its nuclear power. He wanted to destroy Iran's navy. He wanted to prevent Iran from arming terrorist groups. And who is the leading terrorist in the world today? It's a man who can wake up and say, I am going to kill the head of state of another country. Because terrorism, simply defined, is the use of violence, mindless violence, to achieve political objectives. And that is what is going on. I have killed the head of state of a country. I am happy that we have killed Ali Khamenei, the leader of Iran. Now the son has taken over. I am also going to kill the son unless there is total capitulation, unless there is total surrender, and that country must be ready to take instructions from me. How dare you? Who are you? That you have not taken over the entire world? You will tell us Venezuela has been captured. The acting president of Venezuela must take instructions from you. In fact, if the man succeeds in Iran, he now wants to go to Cuba. He has threatened a regime change in Cuba. Right now, he has imposed humanitarian crisis in Cuba. No fuel goes to Cuba. And you know what that means? In the case of Nigeria. And that is why Nigeria must wake up. We must learn from Iran that unless you reorganize your own country, unless you equip your armed forces, unless you equip your police force, there is no way an imperialist country like America will guarantee law and order in your country. And that has happened since December, when this man on Christmas Day told the whole world, I have struck in Nigeria and have killed terrorists. Since then, terrorism has been on the increase in our country. And that is why the government in Nigeria must go to the drawing table. How do we equip our armed forces, patriotic, that has earned medals in the United Nations peacekeeping force, operations, in ACOMAG and the rest of them. Now, why are we in trouble now? Again, if we say we have 4 refineries, nobody is talking of our refineries any longer. The NNPC now solely relies on Dangote refinery. Is that how to run a country? After pouring money down the drain, $2.9 billion was spent on the maintenance of our 4 refineries. Nobody is talking about that. Now it's about Dangote. Now, how much crude oil are we giving to Dangote? So why are we now talking of importing fuel as if we're back to square one? What are you giving to the modular refineries? These are the questions for Nigerians, so that the crisis in our country, crisis of poverty will not increase.
Mr. Falana, there are those who ask you, who can be the judge if you are accusing Mr. Donald Trump of this egregious act that you have just accused him of? The United Nations that's supposed to see it as a balancing act seems to have lost its voice because of a threat of withdrawal of funding and grants to world agencies of the world. Nigeria has the beck and call of the United States also, because we know what Mr. Donald Trump has said. But if you are in President Bola Tinubu's shoes, for the sake of the Nigerian people, what would you be doing now? Because of the possible, if this Middle East crisis goes beyond this.
President Trump has no regard, has contempt for international law. Hence, he has pulled Nigeria out of about 66 countries. Now, resolutions of the United Nations, even of the Security Council, mean nothing to Mr. Trump. Our duty as a country, as we used to do in the past, is to collaborate with other countries. When you used to talk of the days of non-alignment, how we can now move very speedily to collaborate with other countries to mount pressure on Mr. Trump, particularly persuade Russia and China to intervene, because it does appear that contrary to the threats of America, America never thought, in spite of its so-called invisibility, that Iran would go this far. Now we need to persuade China and Russia to intervene, because those are the 2 countries, apparently, that Iran will listen to. Because America is in trouble. As of yesterday, Mr. Trump had begun to blame his advisors. You never told me that Iran was this powerful. You never told me that Iran was going to threaten American military bases in the Gulf. And America has tried to persuade the Gulf countries, please, join this war. Let us attack Iran together. They said no. Even though Iran is not our friend, but we want to treat Iran like a bull in the shiner's shop. We're not going to join this war. Britain has said, we're not joining your war. Spain has said, you misled us in 2003. When you guys talk of weapons of mass destruction, we're not going to join you this time. So Nigeria and other countries should also try and intervene in the interest of our people. Because if this war continues, you may have a third world war in your hand, and everybody will be affected. Right now, because of the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, the world is in trouble. And that is why we must now begin to persuade Iran to go to the drawing table. America is desperate for it to go back to the negotiation table. But Mr. Trump is in trouble. If he loses and he's bound to lose it, he will lose his election, midterm election in America. This is his dilemma now.
Mr. Falana.
Yeah?
I plead with you. I need to take you up on continue on this conversation and that of the Electoral Act and our elections of 2026. But I plead with you that once you are around in Abuja, kindly let's have a very solid conversation about this matter. They are very, very important. But thanks so much indeed for your time. Apologies for the length of the conversation tonight. But that's how far we can go. Many thanks everyone for watching. I'm sure.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.